The Ford Bronco is nearly here. Ford has been out testing it. They've got some test mules. We're seeing it all over the place. So here are the top 12 things you need to know about the Ford Bronco. Hi, my name is Eric and I make videos on future cars and trucks. If that's interesting to you, consider subscribing and joining the Discord chat linked down below. Number 12. We might see the Bronco as early as next weekend. Why? Because Ford just issued a press release, and now we have learned that Ford is the official truck of the King of Hammers. And why is that significant? Well, Ford said this in their press release. The King of Hammers is one of the most difficult, most extreme off-road competitions in the world. Johnson Valley, the king of the home of hammers, is a test bed for the all-new Ford Bronco. I don't think we're gonna see an official unveiling without the camo, but I think we might see another prototype cruising around, rolling around, hopefully not rolling off rocks in the desert as early as February the 8th. Number 11, we are gonna get two versions of the upcoming Bronco. We are gonna get the big Bronco, the body on frame version, let's call it the Daddy Bronco, because there's another Bronco and that's being referred to as the baby Bronco. And in a minute, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So it is a full-on 4x4 body on frame. It is designed to compete directly with the Jeep Wrangler. Now the baby Bronco is based on the Ford Escape. It's also gonna be 4x4, but it is gonna be a unibody. So it's not positioned quite as off-road capable as the full-on 4x4 off-road version. It's gonna be a little bit more city, and it's gonna be probably a little bit more user-friendly too. Now we're pretty sure there's gonna be a two-door version because we've got the Bronco R, which Ford released in this promo video. And also there have been some dealer meetings and some dealers say that Ford showed them a two-door version of the Bronco. And speaking of the baby Bronco, this takes us to number 10. And the name of the baby Bronco might be called the Maverick. No, not this Maverick from 1973. That's different. Somebody over at Bronco6g.com, which you should definitely go check out if you're interested in Bronco news, they were searching for parts and they came up with this. So there are some parts associated with a name called Maverick. And Ford did trademark the name in 2016 for some sort of SUV. So with all these leaks happening, it's pretty clear that the Bronco is going to be out pretty soon. The Bronco is so leaky, in fact, I got this exclusive footage of Ford trying to stop the Bronco leaks. We're gonna get to number 9, but first, a quick ad break. Number 9, the interior of the Bronco. So we got two Broncos, and we don't have a whole lot of information or spy footage of the interiors, but we do have a couple of photos. So first, this is the newest photo that I could find. This is the Daddy Bronco, the big Bronco, the main Bronco. It has got a screen in the dash and pretty much everything else is covered up. We can't see a whole lot about that yet. It's gonna be interesting what they do. I'm expecting it to be pretty rugged, kind of like the Jeep. It's probably not gonna have really soft materials, probably gonna be pretty hard, durable plastics and able to withstand some rain too. Now the baby Bronco, the Maverick, it has this tablet on a dash type thing. It is based on the Ford Escape. If you wanna get a clearer picture of what the interior might look like, we can look at the Escape. We can see the heating and ventilation controls are probably gonna be similar. The vents on the dash look to be vertical here in the Bronco where they are horizontal in the Escape. Number 8, the Bronco looks absolutely amazing in these renders. Mo Awan, sorry if I mispronounced your name, he has got what I think are some of the best looking renders yet. So recently we saw a very aggressive off-road version of the Bronco. I think these renders are based on this. We got these really aggressive fenders. They're really bulging out. We've got big tires. I think they were about 34.7 inches, in fact, based on looking at the tire spec. I have a video on that up here. We've got these very unique headlights with the halos, and what he's copied from the headlights on the mule, the test mule that we saw, is the centerpiece going across the headlights, which appears to be a plastic piece. I'm not completely convinced that's gonna make it into the production vehicle. I think that was a little sleight of hand to misdirect us. But anyways, I think this is a very, very good looking render. It definitely looks like a Bronco. It harkens back to the original one, and it has a little bit of Toyota FJ in it as well. Thank you so much for these super dope renders. If you want to check out his work, it's linked down below on his Instagram. Number 7. There will be a two-door version of the Bronco. Now, we haven't seen a whole lot in spy photos yet. There's a couple here that you can look at, and in this video that was released by Ford, heavily camouflaged, it is a two-door version. So I think Ford definitely has to make a two-door version because the original Bronco was only a two-door for its entire run, although some people did some funky aftermarket stuff. It is a two-door vehicle at its heart, so I think we are definitely going to see a two-door, but Ford has been the most cagey and they're not showing us, they're not driving around the test mules of the two-doors very much. Another clue is that the Bronco R, the race version that they were testing out in Johnson Valley, California, is a two-door version as well. So if you look at that vehicle, you'll probably get an idea of what the proportions might be, although we're not quite clear, it's not final yet. It does look a little bit long for a two-door, but I expect that the two-door is not going to be significantly, or perhaps the wheelbase won't be any shorter. It might be the same as the four-door, it just might have a classic two-door look to it. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Number 6, it is gonna have a removable roof and also removable doors, just like its competitor, the Jeep. There have been a lot of patents that have been filed. I've been looking at them. And one thing seems fairly clear is that we're probably gonna get a hardtop removable roof. I don't know that there's a cloth version yet that's gonna be available. Kind of hard to say, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see a cloth version because that is something that is available on the Jeep and Ford needs to compete directly with the Jeep, but not a lot of confirmation on that yet. Now here's something very interesting. I just saw these patents today. It does look like there are going to be airbags in the roof rails. And what's really interesting is that after the airbags deploy, you should be able to fold them back up, get them out of the way, because right now, if you're in a collision and you've had the airbags go off, you know that they cover up the windows. So I think the idea is if you're out off-roading somewhere and you're nowhere near a paved road, you can potentially roll the airbags up somehow and make it to safety and hopefully get fixed. And the patent says, thus it would be desirable to have weatherproof trim covers for the airbags that allow the airbags to be concealed after deployment. There's some very cool renders from Bronco6G.com, and you can see what it might look like without a roof. Also, in this very heavily camouflaged version, you've probably seen them in the photos with a really funky looking roof. That does appear to be a convertible version, but with the top off. If you look inside, and I'm sorry it's difficult to see, there are a bunch of frame rails. There's a bunch of bars up on the roof that appear to be perhaps what the vehicle is going to look like without its top. Number 5, it may come standard with rock sliders. Of course, we're talking about the Daddy Bronco here. Looking at this big beefy frame rail here, this does kind of look like a rock slider. If you don't know what a rock slider is, here is an example of an off-road, an aftermarket version. It allows you to essentially slide over a rock so that you don't damage the undercarriage and you don't get hung up on a rock. And it's basically a way to protect yourself and the vehicle if you're deep in the backcountry and you like to do a little rock climbing. Number 4, suspension. It's most likely going to be on coil springs, and it looks like we're gonna get a solid rear axle and an independent front suspension. Now, some of you may like that. That might be good news for some of you might not like that. If you look at the Bronco R, it's got pretty long axles, it's got pretty long control arms. I think we're gonna see a lot of articulation with this. The rear, of course, is a solid axle, and depending on what you like to do, a solid front axle might be more desirable, especially if you like to go rock crawling, you like to go deep off-road, and you're looking for that extra bit of clearance, but I think that's what it is. In this video, it does seem to be tackling some pretty aggressive terrain, so again, we know that Ford is positioning this as a very aggressive, durable off-road vehicle, so that's the choice that they made with the independent front suspension. I can't really comment on it further. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Number 3, there might be a Bronco Raptor version coming out. We don't know if this is going to be released at the same time, but it does look like from these shots over here, this is a very aggressive vehicle. It's got what I calculated to be about 35-inch tires, about 12.7 inches wide. You should be able to air these down. There seems to be a lot of suspension travel. And looking at the exhaust here, this does seem to be a larger exhaust system than what we've seen in some of the other Spy videos. So there is talk about perhaps it's going to get the 2.7 liter V6. And also, I think these are beadlock wheels. I did a video on that right over here. You can decide for yourself, but it certainly looks like they're going to be beadlocks, at least that's my reading of it. Number 2, we're not going to get a V8. At least not initially. I haven't seen any rumors to support that. We haven't really seen any information to support that, but it does look like we are going to get 2 engines. One is the 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine. It's in the Ford Ranger. It makes 270 horsepower and 310 pounds-feet of torque. Made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission, essentially the same transmission that Ford is using in the Mustang. And it also does appear that we're going to get a 2.7 liter EcoBoost, a V6, making about 325 horsepower, 400 pounds-feet of torque. That's the trim that it makes in other vehicles that Ford sells right now, like the F-150. And it does seem like we're gonna get some type of hybrid vehicle, although there's not much information on that. Ford has said that they are making a commitment to electric vehicles and electric hybrid vehicles, evidenced by the Mach-E, for example. Right now, the Ford Explorer and the Police Interceptor are available in hybrids with a 3.3 liter V6 and an electric motor. Number 1, although there's going to be a bonus right after this too, because I didn't count properly when I was doing the script for this video, so it would be number 0. But number 1 are these super cool LED headlights. They're almost certainly LEDs, although there might be different levels of trim packages. I think they look amazing. They definitely harken back to the original Bronco, the first generation and the second generation, these classic round headlights. I'm so glad they're bringing them back. I think these look super cool. And oh, is that a spot for a winch right there? And the bonus thing that you need to know is the price of this future Bronco. So the Jeep Wrangler starts at about $30,000. And we know that the Raptor, the F-150 Raptor, starts at about $53,000. And they go out the door configured, quite frequently at about $60,000 or above, even as high as $70,000. Very popular vehicle. So if Ford does make a Bronco version, a Raptor version of the Bronco, how is it going to be priced? We know that Jeep brings the price from about 30 grand way up into the 50s. So to compete and have a number of different options available to consumers, I think we're going to see Broncos available all the way up to that price range too. Now, we don't know exactly when the reveal is going to be. There are 2 possible dates that are being floated around right now. One is the New York Auto Show. That would be in early April, April 8th, I believe, are the press days. And then there's the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. That's going to be in early June, I think around the 9th or so. I don't think we're going to see it after the Detroit Auto Show because Ford has said it's going to be a 2021 vehicle. It should be available early in 2021. That means they need to put it into production probably a little bit later this year. So those are the 2 possible dates. So I definitely could have included more things in this video. There's a whole lot more I have learned about the Bronco, but hey, I'm a one-man band. If you want to support me, I've got a Patreon. It's linked down below. There's also 2 videos up on screen right now. Pick one if you want to get more future car news. My name is Eric, and I will see you soon in the next video.